He told her she was invisible. In the sterile conference room on the 52nd floor of Harriman and Cross, Marcus Devlin told his wife, Dr. Sarah Chen, that she had wasted her life. He mocked her research, dismissed her PhD, and informed her that without his money, she was unemployable. He watched her gather her cheap coat, expecting her to take the subway home to the apartment he'd already emptied. But Marcus waited. He followed her down to the lobby. He wanted to witness her final humiliation, a broke academic with no prospects, crawling away in shame. He never expected the helicopter that landed on the roof. He never expected the man in the charcoal suit who emerged. And he never expected that the wife he'd just discarded had spent 3 years systematically destroying him. The air in the 52nd floor conference room was filtered, chilled to exactly 68 degrees, and carried the scent of lemon oil on Brazilian mahogany. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan sprawled below like a vast circuit board. The East River was a gray ribbon, the November sky pressed down like brushed concrete. Dr. Sarah Chen sat frozen on one side of a table so polished it reflected the bruised sky like dark water. Her hands were clasped so tightly her knuckles had gone bloodless white. Her coat, simple wool from Macy's, purchased on sale 3 years ago, draped over a $15,000 Italian leather chair like a beggar's rag. She wore a navy Target dress, $39. The woman across the table wore a Chanel that Sarah had helped select. Opposite her, Marcus Devlin lounged with predatory confidence. His $12,000 Brioni suit looked painted on. His Turnbull and Asser shirt had monogrammed cuffs. His Hermes tie cost $400. His platinum cufflinks cost more than Sarah's entire settlement. Then there was the watch. The $45,000 Patek Philippe Nautilus, rose gold with blue face, catches cold window light with every movement. He wore it like a wedding ring, a symbol of commitment to success, to dominance, to winning. He didn't just occupy the room, he owned it. Beside him, attorney Richard Grayson, silver-haired, kitten-suited, $2,500 John Lobb shoes, pushed a single sheet of paper across the polished table. By signing here, Dr. Chen, Grayson purred, you acknowledge $75,000 as a full, final, and irrevocable settlement of all spousal support claims. You waive all claims to Mr. Devlin's businesses, properties, and assets as enumerated in Exhibits A through M. On Sarah's side, her lawyer Tom Reeves flinched. His polyester men's warehouse suit and battered briefcase with a broken clasp made him look like a rowboat facing a destroyer. Marcus, this is insulting, Tom said, voice trembling with suppressed rage. $75,000 after 12 years. Sarah managed your homes, all 3. She organized your social calendar, hosted investor events, and coordinated the fundraiser that got you on Mount Sinai's board. His voice gained strength. She gave up her doctorate fellowship so you could move to New York, Scripps Institution of Oceanography. Marcus, do you know what that fellowship meant? Marcus barked a laugh that bounced off wood-paneled walls. He tapped his $3,500 Montblanc pen against mahogany. Tap, tap, tap. She gave up what? Marcus scoffed, glancing at Grayson. That fellowship for. What was it, honey? He snapped his fingers. Marine biology, specifically, protein folding patterns in extinct coral species. He turned to Tom with theatrical disbelief. Are you kidding me? Extinct coral, who cares? What's the market application? What company is hiring? What's the economic value of knowing how proteins folded in coral that died 10,000 years ago? He spread his hands wide. It's academic masturbation. Expensive, self-indulgent, utterly useless. There's no job market. Maybe 12 people worldwide care and none can pay rent. He leaned back. Let's talk about what Sarah does now. She writes a blog, Marine Microbiology Today. Know how many subscribers, Tom? 43. My company's Twitter has 200,000 followers. Sarah's life work is read by 43 people, probably mostly bots. He stood walking to the window, hands in pockets. Pure theater? Let's be blunt. Sarah had a hobby, an expensive, time-consuming, utterly unproductive hobby I funded for 12 years. I took her from a Northwestern basement lab making $32,000 a year. He didn't wait for a response. I gave her a life she couldn't dream of. Private jets, G650 to Turks and Caicos, Ammon resorts. She wore Valentino to the Met Gala. Those dresses cost $15,000 each. I bought her for. He turned from the window, backlit against the gray city. She ate at Per C 11 Madison Park. I took her to a private dinner at Le Bernardin, 8 people, $6,000 bill for one night. He walked back, placed his hands on the table and leaned forward. His voice dropped, almost gentle. This $75,000, it's a gift, more than you made in 2 years of your old life. It'll get you a studio in Queens, maybe Astoria. You'll have 18 months before you have to. He paused. Get a job. Can you even do that? What's the market rate for protein analysis? Are labs hiring? When was your last paper? 2011, 2012. He straightened, buttoned his jacket smoothly. I'm being generous. This is charity. I'm giving you a chance to find something useful to do, something that actually matters. Grayson cleared his throat. Mr. Reeves, I'd advise your client to sign. This offer expires at 5 p.m. if Dr. Chen pursues litigation. We're prepared to drag this out for years. Discovery could take 18 months. Mr. Devlin has 4 law firms on retainer. He looked at Sarah directly, gray eyes cold. We have a comprehensive prenuptial agreement Dr. Chen signed in 2011. Ironclad. A judge will uphold it. This settlement is more generous than the prenup stipulates. Tom looked at Sarah desperately. Sarah, we can fight this. And what will that cost? Sarah's voice cut through, a dry rasp like tearing paper, first words in over an hour. How many years, how many hundreds of thousands do I not have? Tom's face crumpled. I'll work pro bono. And he'll bury you in motions until you're disbarred, Sarah said flatly. He'll bankrupt your firm for sport. He's done it before. Marcus's smile broadened, showing teeth. See, she gets it. She's always been smart in her own way. Practical, that's what I liked initially. She knew her limitations. He sat, leaned back with his hands behind his head. Just sign, Sarah, let's get on with our lives. Well, my life. I'm meeting Apex Pharmaceuticals board at 4, finalizing a San Diego biotech acquisition. $200 million deal, closes Friday. He checked his Patek Philippe, turning his wrist so light caught the rose gold. Dinner at Le Caucou at 8 with Alexandra. You don't know her. Model, 28, IMG representation. She gets it. She understands success. He looked at Sarah with pity or contempt, hard to tell the difference. You could have been someone if you'd been willing to be useful, if you'd understood marine biology wouldn't pay bills, but you were stubborn. You clung to this fantasy that your research mattered. He stood again, restless, energized. I tried to help. Got you on the aquarium fundraising committee board, introduced you to people, but you were always in the corner with your laptop writing about sea sponges, always somewhere else. He shook his head, disappointed. You made yourself invisible, Sarah. You chose irrelevance. Now you're upset the world sees you as you presented yourself. Sarah picked up Tom's pen, cheap Bic ballpoint bought in 10 packs at CVS, cap chewed, plastic cracked. The opposite of everything in this room. She looked at the signature line, Sarah Devlin. With slow, deliberate motion she crossed out Devlin. Black ink, final. She wrote her maiden name, the name she'd forgotten for 12 years, Dr. Sarah Chen. The ink dried instantly, permanent. There, Marcus boomed, clapping his hands. It's done, freedom for both of us. He motioned to Grayson, already packing his Berluti briefcase. Send the invoice to my office, Richard. Excellent work, golf this weekend, winged foot. Marcus walked to the door, buttoning his jacket with one hand, pulling out his phone with the other. He paused at the brass handle, looked back. Sarah still sat, hands flat on the table. A statue of defeat, a cheap coat on an expensive chair, Target dress against Brazilian mahogany. Oh, Sarah, he said casually, that blog, I had my tech guy check analytics. You have 43 subscribers, but 12 are spam accounts. So really, 31 real people worldwide care what you say. He let that sink in, then smiled, kindly, pitying, advice from someone who knows the world. Give it up, nobody cares about extinct coral, nobody cares about protein patterns, you have nothing to say that matters, find something useful, maybe a pet store job, you like animals, right? He was gone. The door clicked shut, soft, expensive sound. A $5,000 door, heavy, final, absolute. For a full minute neither Sarah nor Tom moved. Through windows the city continued. Cars moved. The lights changed. People lived, unaware that in this room one life had just been declared worthless. Tom finally spoke, voice rough. Sarah, I'm so sorry, I should have. You did everything you could, Tom, Sarah said steadily. The numbness was a shield. Thank you. Really? The check will be mailed within 5 business days, Tom said, pulling a card from his battered briefcase. That's my cell on the back. Call anytime, day or night, if you need anything. Sarah took the card, nodded. Stood, legs feeling distant. She pulled on her Macy's coat, wool ruff against her hands, picked up her Target purse, Marcus's orphan bag, and walked toward the door. She didn't look at the $400,000 abstract painting. Didn't look at the view, didn't look at Grayson typing on his phone, already moving to his next victory. She just walked. The elevator was mirrored on all sides, forcing Sarah to confront herself from every angle. She looked small. Defeated, gray, hair needed cutting, dress wrinkled, face pale from spending too much time making herself invisible. The elevator played Vivaldi's Four Seasons. Spring, it made Sarah want to scream. The numbers descended. 52. 45, 38, 30. At 30, a young woman in Alexander McQueen stepped in, saw Sarah, and immediately pulled out her phone, a barrier. She smelled like Chanel No. 5 and success. Didn't make eye contact. The elevator reached the ground floor, doors opened. The Harriman and Cross lobby was a statement, a 3-story atrium of white Calacatta marble, brushed steel, uncomfortable leather sofas no one sat on. Glass ceiling allowed cold November light to filter down through steel beams like light through prison bars, designed to make visitors feel small, insignificant, and temporary. The receptionist, Ms. Vane, according to her severe metal plaque, looked up as Sarah approached. Her eyes performed a complete scan in under a second. Macy's coat, Target purse, flat shoes, no jewelry, rain-dampened hair. Conclusion, irrelevant. Her expression remained a perfect mask of polite disinterest, somehow worse than open mockery. At least mockery acknowledged existence. Sarah walked toward the revolving glass doors leading to Park Avenue, through them. Driving November rain, turning taxis to frantic yellow blurs, pedestrians running with newspapers over their heads. She'd have to wait for the rain to slow or be soaked before reaching the subway. She moved aside, standing near towering white orchids in a brushed steel planter, trying to make herself small and invisible. She pulled out her phone. Battery, 8%. Screen cracked, dropped 2 weeks ago, no money to fix. She opened Uber, connecting to driver. The app spun. The signal in the marble and steel canyon was terrible. 1 bar, none, once again, no cars available in your area. She closed Uber, opened Lyft, connecting, spinning wheel of false hope. Ding, Sarah's heart seized. She didn't have to look up. She felt it, the sudden atmospheric pressure change, the magnetic pull of arrogance sucking air from her corner. Marcus Devlin emerged from the elevator bank, adjusting his perfect silk tie. He saw her immediately. Animal instinct for weakness, vulnerability, and blood in water. Right now, Sarah was broadcasting defeat on every frequency. He sauntered over, lazy smile, loose, confident walk. Predator approaching trapped prey. Oh, you're still here, he said, lightly amused. Tough getting a cab in this weather, I guess. Sarah said nothing, stared at her phone, at the useless spinning wheel. Come on, she thought desperately. What's the plan, Sarah? Marcus pushed, enjoying himself, hands in pockets, rocking slightly on heels. $2,500, shoes barely making a sound on marble. Subway, do you have a Metro card, or is that part of the settlement? He chuckled at his own joke. Sarah's face flushed hot despite the cold lobby. She jammed her phone back into her purse, eyes stinging. This was it, the humiliation he wanted, the final image. Ex-wife in the lobby like a drowned rat, unable to afford a ride home. Here, Marcus said suddenly. Sarah looked up. Marcus was reaching into his Brioni pocket, pulling out a thick folded wad, his walking around money. He peeled off one crisp $100 bill, Benjamin Franklin's impassive face. Marcus held it out, waggling it between 2 fingers like offering a dog a treat. For the ride, parting gift, for old time's sake. Go on, take it. Ms. Vane was watching now, pretending to type, eyes fixed on the scene. The most interesting thing in the lobby all week. You've earned something, Marcus continued, voice louder, playing to the audience. 12 years of service. That's worth a C-note, right? Take it, Sarah, buy dinner, get a ride, whatever you need. This was absolute bottom. To be treated like a panhandler by the man she'd spent 12 years building, supporting, elevating. Sarah looked at the money. Looked at Marcus's smug face, the face she'd woken next to for 12 years. "I'm not waiting for a taxi, Marcus," she said, voice low, tight, vibrating with suppressed rage and something else. Something that might have been satisfaction. Marcus blinked, smile faltered for a second, flicker of confusion. "Oh," he said, recovering. "Right, the subway, I forgot, that's your life now, enjoy the ride, hope it's not too crowded." He started to turn, then paused. "Or wait, someone's picking you up," he laughed sharply. "Who, that grad school friend Janet? Is she driving from Princeton in her 2004 Subaru?" "Someone is picking me up," Sarah repeated flatly. She turned her back, facing rain-lashed doors, staring at Park Avenue as if she could will a car to appear. "Ooh, mysterious," Marcus mocked. He leaned against a marble pillar, crossing his arms. Settling in, this was too good, theater. "I can't wait to see this." He pulled out his $2,000 iPhone 15 Pro Max in titanium, started texting. "Probably Alexandra, ex-wife in the lobby like a homeless person. Claims someone's picking her up." Hilarious. Sarah closed her eyes, focused on breathing. In, out, in, out. Marine microbiology today was boring, meant to be boring, perfect cover, decoy, public face. 43 subscribers were exactly right, large enough to seem real, small enough to be dismissible. But that blog wasn't Sarah's real work. Her real work happened on ProSciNet, an invitation-only encrypted forum for research scientists, where real researchers with MIT and Cambridge PhDs posted problems, shared data, and collaborated across continents. On ProSciNet, Sarah wasn't an unsuccessful marine biologist with a failed blog. She was S. Chen's. By morning, 47 responses, people thanking her, asking follow-ups. One person, Jay Hawthorne, sent a private message. "That was extraordinary analysis. Are you available for consultation?" That was the beginning. Over 3 years, Sarah became one of ProSciNet's most requested consultants. She specialized in protein analysis, molecular structures, biochemical pathways, all her useless knowledge. She worked nights after Marcus slept. Weekends when he golfed. During charity events she was supposed to host, laptop hidden in the coat room, and she got paid. Not much at first. A few $100s deposited into a private account Marcus didn't know existed. Then requests got bigger. Basel Pharmaceuticals needed help identifying contamination. San Diego Biotech wanted an analysis of deep-sea proteins. Johns Hopkins Cancer Team needed a binding mechanism model. Sarah took every job, fast, accurate, cheap, because she didn't need money, she needed validation, needed to feel like herself. Her biggest client, Jay Hawthorne, over 3 years Jay Hawthorne sent dozens of requests. Protein analyses, molecular modeling, research review, every task is paid promptly, professionally, and generously. Money went into her secret account, she didn't spend it. She was saving it for something, though she hadn't been sure what until recently. 6 months ago, Jay Hawthorne sent a message that changed everything. S. Chen Scripps, I'd like to offer you a position. Full-time Chief Research Director, Marine Genomics Division, Hawthorne Biogenetics. Salary $2, $4 M annually plus stock options. I've followed your work for 3 years. You're the best analyst I've encountered. Let me know if interested. We can discuss details privately. Sarah stared for 10 minutes, hands shaking. Hawthorne Biogenetics. Everyone in the field knew it. One of the most successful pharmaceutical companies worldwide, specializing in marine-derived compounds. Founder Dr. James Hawthorne was a legendary biochemist who revolutionized protein synthesis, turned research into a $40 billion empire. Jay Hawthorne was James Hawthorne. For 3 years, she'd been working for one of pharmaceutical research's most powerful people without knowing. She'd responded, "I'm interested, but I'm currently married. Divorce proceedings will begin soon." His response came within minutes. "Take your time, position will be here when you're ready. And Sarah, I know who you are, I've known for 2 years, your published scripts work is extraordinary, the industry has been looking for you." That message gave her the courage to file for divorce, to hire Tom, to walk into that conference room today and sign away a life that had never been hers. Now, standing in the lobby with Marcus mocking her, she pulled out her phone again. Opened an encrypted messaging app Marcus didn't know existed. Typed, "I'm in the lobby. Ready when you are." Response came immediately, inbound, 2 minutes. Sarah put her phone away, took a breath, waited 1 minute, 2, rain-hammered glass. Marcus was still there, leaning against his pillar, scrolling, occasionally glancing up with mixed amusement and pity. "This is sad, Sarah," he called. "Really sad, just take the 100 and get out." The sound cut through the lobby like a blade through silk. Not a taxi horn or bus, not a regular car or even a luxury sedan. Something else, a deep, rhythmic thudding you felt in your chest before hearing it with your ears. The bass frequency that vibrated glass windows made steel beams hum. Whomp 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 whomp. Marcus stopped mid-sentence. Looked up, expression shifting from amusement to confusion. Ms. Vane actually stood from her glacier desk, her perfect composure cracked for just a moment. Through glass ceiling panels they could all see it descending. A helicopter, not the building's usual corporate shuttle. This was different. Private. Military grade. Bell 429 in matte black with 0 visible markings, the kind that cost $8 million and required special clearances to fly over Manhattan airspace. It descended toward the rooftop helipad with surgical precision, rotors creating a wind vortex that sent rain spiraling in geometric patterns. Marcus's mouth fell open slightly. "Holy shit, is that for Harriman?" "I heard he was getting." His phone buzzed, so did Ms. Vane's console. Building-wide alert, rooftop access restricted, VIP arrival. The helicopter settled onto the pad with barely a tremor. Through glass panels they saw a figure emerge. Tall, moving with unhurried purpose, charcoal suit, no tie. The man walked toward the rooftop entrance and disappeared inside. Marcus adjusted his collar. Someone important. Networking opportunity. The elevator from the roof was express, executive only. It descended. Numbers ticked down. 52, 40, 30. Marcus positioned himself in the lobby center, ready to intercept, introduce himself, and leverage. The elevator opened. Dr. James Hawthorne stepped out. Marcus's blood crystallized. He knew this face. Everyone in pharmaceutical circles knew this face. Hawthorne Biogenetics, the man who'd revolutionized protein synthesis, whose company had been valued at $40 billion in its last funding round. The man Marcus's firm had been trying to get a meeting with just 15 minutes for 2 years. Every email is ignored. Every call is unreturned. Hawthorne was 60, silver-haired, with eyes like a surgeon's, precise, unsentimental. He crossed the lobby with the calm of someone who'd never waited for anything. Marcus stepped forward, hand extended, desperate smile deployed. "Dr. Hawthorne, Marcus Devlin, Devlin Pharmaceuticals. I've been sending proposals to your office about a potential partnership." Hawthorne walked past him, didn't slow, didn't glance, moved through Marcus like he was furniture. He stopped in front of Sarah, his severe expression softened, not into a smile, into respect. "Dr. Chen," he said, cultured baritone, "I apologize for the delay, weather complicated the approach." Sarah's hunched shoulders straightened. "No apology necessary, James, thank you for coming." Marcus's brain was catching fire. "James," she called him James. "Then let's get you out of this place," Hawthorne said. He gestured toward the elevator. "The helicopter's waiting. Your new lab in La Jolla is ready. The deep-sea spectrometry equipment you requested arrived from Germany yesterday." "My lab," Marcus's voice cracked. He was still standing there, hand half extended, invisible. Hawthorne finally looked at him, not a glance, a full assessment. The way an entomologist examines an insect before pinning it to a board. "Mr. Devlin," Hawthorne said, voice dropping 10 degrees. "You are the man who called the world's leading expert on coral protein synthesis academic masturbation." He took one step closer. Marcus, who'd never backed down from anyone, took an involuntary step back. "You are the man," Hawthorne continued, "who convinced Dr. Chen to abandon her Scripps Fellowship. The research that my company has now spent $200 million trying to replicate because her work was 15 years ahead of its time." Marcus's mouth opened. No sound emerged. "And you are the man who just signed away any legal claim to a woman who, as of this morning, has been appointed Chief Research Director of Hawthorne Marine Genomics with an annual salary of $2.4 million and a 5-year stock option package currently valued at $60 million. The lobby went silent, even the receptionist's phone was frozen in her hand. "Dr. Chen," Hawthorne said, turning his back on Marcus entirely. "We'll be late for the board meeting. They're eager to hear your presentation on the calcium-binding proteins. Sarah looked at Marcus, not with anger, not with triumph. With mild curiosity, one might show a museum exhibit. You were right about one thing, Marcus, she said. Nobody cared about my coral research. Nobody except the 37 pharmaceutical companies currently in litigation over my patents. She walked to the elevator. Hawthorne followed. The doors closed with a soft, final whisper. Marcus stood in the marble lobby, $100 bill still in hand. The receptionist was staring at him now, not with respect. With the look one gives an imposter who's been exposed. His phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Devlin? Clipped legal voice. This is Samantha Crane from the SEC. We'd like to speak with you about certain offshore transactions related to your company's Phase III trial data. We received a very detailed anonymous submission. Can you come to our office tomorrow at 9? The phone slipped from his hand. It cracked on marble. 2 days later, Marcus sat in his home office, the penthouse he'd forced Sarah to vacate, and finally understood. On his computer screen was a file. The SEC had shown it to him. A forensic masterpiece. Every falsified trial result from his company's flagship drug, every bribed FDA consultant, every offshore account. Cross-referenced with his calendar, travel receipts, and his own emails. The file was called Devlin Protein Synthesis Fraud, XLSX. He remembered suddenly 3 years ago, dinner party at his penthouse. He'd been drunk, boasting to investors about how he'd massaged clinical data. Sarah had been in the corner on her laptop. He'd assumed she was shopping or writing her pathetic blog. She'd been listening. He clicked through bank accounts with shaking hands. Assets frozen. Company stock halted. Hawthorne Biogenetics had filed an emergency injunction claiming theft of proprietary research based on Sarah's original scripts work that Marcus had somehow acquired. His lawyer called. Marcus, it's catastrophic. They have everything. The whistleblower file is unbreakable. Whoever compiled this spent years. Marcus hung up. He opened Sarah's blog, Marine Microbiology Today, 43 subscribers. Latest post about sea sponges, boring, useless. Then he noticed the byline. Dr. S. Chen, formerly research fellow, Scripps Institution of Oceanography. He searched her name, academic papers, citations. Keynote speech at Genomics conference last year while still married to him. Patents filed under her maiden name. A secret career built in the margins of the life he'd dismissed. Then he found it. 3-year-old post on a scientific forum. Username, Dr. S. Chen. The post, does anyone have connections at the SEC? I have evidence of clinical trial fraud at a major pharmaceutical company, but I'm unsure how to proceed. First response, I have contacts, send me what you have. J. Hawthorne. Marcus's hands went numb. She hadn't just documented his crimes. She'd found the one person who could weaponize them. The one person whose company stood to gain billions if Marcus's firm collapsed. The one person who needed her research. She'd built her escape route for 3 years, and he'd never noticed because he'd never looked. 6 months later, Marcus Devlin was arraigned on 14 counts of securities fraud. His company was dissolved. His penthouse was sold at a loss to pay legal fees. His $45,000 watch, his $12,000 suits, his art collection all auctioned. He was barred from the pharmaceutical industry for life. He lived now in a studio apartment in Hoboken, working as a business consultant for $85,000 a year. Less than Sarah had made in her basement lab. 1 year later, Dr. Sarah Chen stood in her laboratory at Hawthorne Marine Genomics in La Jolla. The space was 30,000 square feet of glass and steel overlooking the Pacific. Deep-sea spectrometry equipment hummed quietly. On her monitors, 3D protein structures rotated slowly, models of calcium-binding compounds she'd first identified in coral samples 13 years ago. These proteins, it turned out, could revolutionize bone regeneration therapy. Hawthorne's first drug, based on her work, had just completed Phase II trials. Projected revenue, $3 billion annually. The lab door opened. James Hawthorne entered with 2 coffees. How's the synthesis? Stable, Sarah said, not looking up from her screen. We'll be ready for FDA submission in March. James set coffee on her desk far from the equipment. I received the final SEC report this morning. Devlin took a plea, 8 years minimum security. Sarah's hands adjusting microscope focus didn't pause. Good. There's something I've been curious about, James said. The file you sent me 3 years ago, the evidence against him, it was comprehensive. When did you start compiling it? Sarah thought back, Tuesday night, year 7 of her marriage. Marcus, drunk on scotch, was throwing financial reports at her. File these, they're just numbers, even you can handle that. She'd knelt, gathered papers, seen discrepancies immediately. Her data analysis training made pattern recognition instinctive. That night she'd bought an encrypted flash drive. I hid it inside a hollowed-out textbook, Marine Invertebrate Biology. The day he told me my work was useless, Sarah said simply. James nodded. He was right about one thing. Sarah finally looked up. Nobody did care about coral protein research, James continued. Nobody except the 37 companies now paying us licensing fees. Nobody except the FDA, which just fast-tracked our application. Nobody except the patients who'll walk again because of your work. Sarah returned to her microscope. On the screen, the protein structure glowed against a black background, complex, beautiful architecture that had taken nature millions of years to perfect and her 15 years to decode. He said I was invisible, she murmured. You were, James said quietly. That was your advantage. Through lab windows, the Pacific stretched endlessly, dark and deep and full of mysteries. Sarah had spent her life studying what lived in those depths, organisms that survived by being overlooked, by thriving in places no one thought to look. She adjusted the focal length. The protein snapped into perfect clarity. The best research, she said, happens in the dark.